This is Snakes and Otters, a pointless discussion of eternal questions. Get ready. We're about to live in your head rent-free. Hello, Otterites. This is episode 241.
I am Martin.
And I'm Robert.
And I'm Francis.
I'm Marcus.
And I'm Andre.
Excellent. It's always wonderful to have the Brotherhood here in Studio R down in the man cave.
5/6 of the Brotherhood are here.
Yes,
Most
5/6.
Cajun is not with us this week.
Yeah, Cajun is becalmed in the dry Tortugas with Mrs. Cajun.
Doing God knows what, and we don't want to know.
He's waiting for
illegal in most states, probably.
Probably.
He's simply waiting for the wind to come back up so he can
right.
sail home.
That's right.
Yeah, the
Be
wind.
with us.
That's right.
The wind.
He's
for
got
something
to occupy
blow.
himself somehow while he's waiting. That's
He's
all
in
we're
the
saying.
doldrums. He's creating waves.
Oh, most definitely. Cajun creates waves wherever he goes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some are good, some are questionable. That's all I'll say. Anyways, this is the fourth Friday of the month. Therefore, it is Code of Honor. As you gentlemen know, this is my favorite episode because this is where I get to philosophize the most.
And you're in charge of it
And
because
I'm in
it's your
charge
quote.
this time.
Philosophize, is that a verb?
It is.
Okay.
It is. It may not be an official verb, but by God, it is.
It is now.
So I've got a theme for the quote this time. And actually, I'm probably going to throw in a couple of extras just to kind of help explore this theme. But before we get to that, Martin had a request at the end of the last episode. And that is to provide some updates on the literary front.
Do we want to do that now, or do we want to do it with Bourbon Break?
Let's do it now so that we kind of give it its own space.
All right, so let's go to Francis then. And let him go first.
Yes, Francis must go first because he has the most momentous news.
Well, yeah. My first novel, Red Moscow, has dropped. It is
Yes.
available on all great places to get it. Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can get it from my publisher directly, Jumpmaster Press. Great guys down there. It hit in January 8th is when it dropped officially, and it's out there for sale. You can check it out on my website, rcread.author.com, and get the order links. And so far,
it is only available in physical copy so far, not the ebook.
that is correct. That's right. That comes later. I did talk to them about the audiobooks, and they told me, says, rock on is what Kyle told me from Jumpmaster. He says, start recording it, send it over to Gene, and he'll get the give you the coaching and whatever. So look for that sometime later on this year, probably summer.
Did you have an author's copy? Did you bring your copy?
No, I did not. I don't have my author's copy yet. As we speak, it's on its way. Just as anybody that ordered from Jumpmaster, it'll be next week when it arrives.
Yes.
So I don't have my physical copy yet. I would have brought it.
The
but-
pre-orders ship this week.
Yes, when they put it on pre-order, they put it on pre-order like 2 days before it was available on Amazon.
Yeah,
Not much of a pre-order period.
Yeah, I didn't realize that's how they work because Amazon's their printer. So
Yes.
they get it.
Next time we'll just get them from Amazon.
Well, yeah.
Yes,
And,
because you get the same amount of money
I
either
get the
way.
same amount of money. That's correct. And the advantage of going on Amazon is, as a verified purchaser, you can leave me a review, which Cajun has already done because he ordered it first right off there.
Well, you can still leave a review. You just don't have the verified purchaser.
Correct.
label.
You certainly can. But I would love to be able to do that. I'll tell you all a funny quick story that my nephew, he's 10. He texted. He sent me a Facebook Messenger yesterday because I kind of revealed
Wait, he's
this.
10 and he's on Facebook?
No, I'm sure he's using mom's account. It was
Oh, okay,
It was
okay.
Messenger, or maybe his dad's. And he asked me about it because we talked about it over last weekend when it finally came out. We were at a party for my niece, and I kind of said, I had a demonstrator copy I borrowed from Cajun, and I showed it to folks, and they were, like, because I haven't really talked about it in the family much. And he texted me, he says, "Is this kid friendly? Because I'd like to buy 2 copies, one for us and one to take to my school's library." And I had to tell him, well, no, this is an adult book. It's PG-13 is how it's rated.
That's
Well, the high schools.
It's because there's no profanity. But yes, the violence it's a thriller. It's an espionage
Well,
thriller.
I'm thinking of when John and Tasia first meet up in the book again. That scene is not appropriate for
No, it is not.
underage.
It is correct. Now, there's nothing graphic in any of that in any way, But
no, it's not pornography,
but
but
it's-
no, by no
it's-
means.
The
Compared to
murders
what's in
might cause
The murders would cause
It's
quite a
an
bit.
adult
Just see,
theme.
compared to what's in the elementary schools, that's nothing.
I don't think
Fits in
that's as
just
true as
fine.
it used to be.
No, it's not, and it's just so it's yes, it's very well written. I say that somewhat self-servingly, but it's very tasteful. But you cannot have the romance subplot without some of that, and you cannot have the thriller aspect without some violence.
It is the tropes of the genre that must be honored.
It's correct. You have to do that. But yeah, it's out. So I know you guys have all ordered it, and I thank you for that.
Mhm.
And leave me some reviews quickly. Cajun's already done so. I think he was the first review. I know my brother Andre was the first one to order because he ordered it literally after when I made the announcement it was available.
within seconds of the announcement.
Yes, he had already ordered it before I'd even seen that you had
That had
posted that in
posted,
our
yeah.
secure chat. Yes.
Book's name is Red Moscow by R.C. Reed. That's my pen name, and you can find it everywhere. So please, all my
Red Moscow, R.C. Reed, and again, this is part of a series. There will be more to come.
that's correct. The second and third books are already written. I've outlined the fourth. So
Red Eagle and
Red Eagle is the second. Red Belfast will be number 3, and Red Devil will be number 4. I'm expecting a year between each one. So
There you
in
go.
fact, I've even gone so far on my website to set up a teaser page for Red Eagle.
So, have you submitted the second book to Kyle yet?
No, not yet. He told me
It might be more than a year then.
Well, no, he told me that sometime around April, May, or something like that. He said you can send it whenever, and that's their thought is
Okay.
at a year apart.
I was say because if he's going to make you wait until August, there's no way you'll get it.
No, he's not going to do that. No, he's already told me that. He says we'll.
Those are just new author submissions.
That's
is all.
correct. That was the first question I asked because I thought, can I do this? And all he says, you're part of the family now. You don't have to wait. We'll decide when's the best drop time for it to space it out. Certainly a minimum of 6 months. I like the idea of dropping every January
Well,
with some consistency.
nowadays with a series, honestly, I'd go sooner than later.
That has been talked about. That's correct. It's being
6
able to-
months. Honestly, I would go at least no more than 6 months personally. But that's
Mm-hmm.
my reading of the market, especially on Kindle. The sooner you get the books in a series out, the better the series as a whole will do.
No, that's
Now, the first one generally does the best, anyways.
right.
But for the life of the series overall, they tend to have a much better
And I'm
sales profile.
willing to be educated all around on that sort of stuff. Like I say, books 2 and 3 are written, so whatever I'm the Jumpmaster guys tell me what
Right.
works best. They
And
know this stuff.
If
so.
you remember what we learned in homiletics training, they said if you can get tension in your audience, you get their attention.
Yes.
So, maybe waiting.
Well, but that's a different thing, though, I think, when it comes to the books. Because in the homily, the tension is created while you're giving it, as opposed to the wait. Because, I mean, as good as we all are with our homilies, people are not sitting at home pining for our next one.
Speak for yourself.
Okay.
Generally speaking, I am, but that is my. I mean, I think that is true for just about almost all preachers.
Well, like I say, this is it's new ground here, so
Yes.
I'm willing to go with whatever the publisher says. Hey, it's ready. I'm
and
going to probably send it in a few months.
And being physical as well as digital is a different factor, especially when you're doing Kindle specific stuff. You want to get them out there fast. Being the print, maybe their model says it works better the other way, but again, when it comes to series, most of the advice I've seen is get out there. As soon as possible.
He said no quicker than 6 months, but beyond that, we'll talk.
But also they've got a slate of authors they have to juggle to get on a schedule because there's money that you have to.
That's
put in.
correct.
So
That's right.
There's a lot of considerations that go into it when you work with a publisher as opposed to self-publishing.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's my story.
Robertus, let's hear
Oh, okay.
about yours.
So for the time being, we are still working on it. Still hoping to have something in a relatively complete fashion by the time Imaginarium comes around at the end of mid to end of July. I have really been refining the premise quite a bit more. I've been taking way longer than I wanted to in really defining the premise more so than I had it originally. And I think I've decided to narrow the scope of the first one a little bit. So instead of the 5-book series that I originally talked about, I think it may still be 5. It depends on how the rest of it works out, but may end up being 6.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Of course, he ended up at 7. So If it ever
well, yeah, who knows how that'll end up being. He meant George R.R. Not
that's
you.
that's true. Sorry,
Yes.
George R.R. is where I was referring to.
But anyways,
Not Martin Luther.
it's in the I don't know if I mentioned before. It's what I would call a supernatural thriller, horror, which is it's an interesting genre in itself because it's a little bit of horror, there's a little bit of action and what have you in it because you kind of need that with anything that's not a literary fiction, which is people basically sitting around talking about their feelings is the way the way I think of literary fiction, which is not entirely fair. I do understand that.
It does, the good ones sell very, very well. That's
Yes.
for sure.
But anyways,
So you're not doing the Notebook.
no, I am not doing the Notebook.
Hey, don't crack the notebook.
But you know what? I would take the Notebook sales in a freaking heartbeat.
Yeah, where the Crawdads sing. That was a huge
But
huge literary seller.
so, anyways, there will not be. It is not a true thriller in the sense that
Right.
that Francis's is. That supernatural thriller is a bit of has a little bit of psychological thriller, psychological horror aspect to it. Added some new twists in my approach to this. So I think it's going to be really, really fun in that sense. I'm looking forward to getting it done. I just need to continue to carve out the time to work on it.
That is always the challenge, isn't it?
It is.
Yep,
It is.
yep.
And then Cajun, he recently published, didn't he?
He did.
Edited. He's the editor.
I wish he was here. Yeah, he was both an author in an anthology and an editor
Yes.
that he did on the. It came from the Trailer Park, Volume 4.
Yes, which is actually the 5th volume, but one
Right.
was 3.5.
Yeah, and it's published by Three Ravens Press and available everywhere. So please give it a buy for that one. I was the editor for his story that went into that, and it's a hoot. It's a hoot.
Yes, he writes under the pen name
Timothy Hardy.
Timothy Hardy.
Timothy
That's right.
Hardy,
Yeah.
Yes.
So 50% of the Brotherhood has published recently or writing, and
Well,
No, I've published a nonfiction.
Yeah.
okay,
That's
so
right. That's right, 'cause he's-
50%.
Well, and I've been published before.
Oh,
Not
okay.
books, but I'm working on a
So
non-fiction.
Martin and Andre need to get busy writing.
Well,
some-
Martin's. Well, I was going to say
And
Martin.
Martin
is
is
Yeah, I
next.
know they
Working.
wanted to come. Yeah, so I'm in 65,000 words.
Awesome.
Oh wow!
And,
Yeah, so you're there. If
You're
you need to.
close. You should be
Very
working
close.
on the end right now, right?
Yeah.
I'm heading towards the denouement and the big reveal
Okay.
end of it.
So the climax has yet to happen.
Yes, the climax has yet to happen.
It is penultimate. Then.
That's what she said.
We're still stacking bodies at this point.
Well, okay, that's okay.
So I'm trying to work some.
Yes, we all got the second grade, the 6th grade humor there.
the double entendre.
Yes, I really broke up Brother Andre though.
So I'm working on trying to include some little snippets of absurdism into.
Oh, really?
well, for your genre, I think some of that
It
can
can
really
really
fit.
work.
It really
Yes,
will
it can
because
really
you're
work.
writing
Kind of police procedural type deal.
right.
Well, you need to differentiate that from every other one that's out there. And to be honest, some of those, John D. McDonald's Travis McGee is a great example where you insert that sort of stuff into the commentary, and that's why people tune in.
Yeah.
That's why
It's-
people stay with
Is
you.
it police procedural in the sense of because that's CSI, so where there's a lot of science involved, or is this just crime?
It's crime fiction, isn't it?
crime fiction.
There's a touch. No, it's not super
I mean,
heavy.
in
on
today's,
the
if it's set in the
procedural.
modern time, you're going to have some
you
of
have
that.
to have some.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have some explanation.
right,
But
but it's not heavy on the.
But there's an evidence tech as one of the good characters.
Sure.
In it, she's kind of got a thing for the lead cop, and so he leans on her a little bit to, for the technical aspects of what's going on, and then there's so just some general. Well, we got to figure out what the hell's going on here, kind of stuff.
right.
Some
Yeah.
follow some leads.
Crime fiction, it sounds like, is where you're at. That's
Yeah.
the larger.
Yes.
I have discovered stick with the larger of your genres. Try not to get too specific. Let that determine itself.
Yeah.
If it's crime fiction, you're there. You're
It's
there.
kind of Elmore Leonard style,
Right.
sort of, is
Right.
what I'm going for. I've also read a little James Elroy that I like.
Yeah.
But
Elmore Leonard is the one that famously said, "When you're writing, just avoid writing the boring parts."
yes.
And I'm serious. And it's truly none of it should be boring. and
That's
it's
what
a very
I've
good
got
way
to
of working.
guard against. I am afraid I've gone into the weeds a little
It's
bit.
okay because it's
I got
first
to
draft.
work on that.
It's your
you-
first draft.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, go weeding all you want to.
Yeah.
That's what editing's for. I have
It's,
having-
Ideally, you write more than you need in the first draft.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna try and get pretty far along and get to 90 maybe, and then
Then
hopefully
edit down to
it'll
towards
cut
80.
it to 80. Yeah.
80 is your magic number. You want to be right around that.
It depends on the genre.
It is,
Well,
but
it-
where
my
you're
mag-
at, that's commercially acceptable,
Yeah.
universally. So
My magic
my
number's
genre-
1200.
There you go.
My genre, I can go 90 to 100.
you can. That's correct.
Yeah, you
So-
can go bigger. You're
if,
gonna want to go
if
bigger
you need
with
to,
that.
yeah.
Science fiction and fantasy, they can go a little bit larger because it's much more world building. Like I said, it really depends. But anyways, you're making progress though.
Yeah, I am. I've stalled a touch because I just haven't had time again. There's been a lot going on here again. You do December and January are always, crazy. But I'm trying to work again with some inspiration from James Elroy, but unlike Elroy, where everybody's pretty much actively corrupt. That's kind of his thing.
Right.
Is when he
Just
does
question of degree.
he's working L.A. He's working
Mhm.
a lot of times in the 50s and 60s. Nearly every character's, at the very least, working some kind of angle, if not outright corrupt. Every cop. Me, I'm kind of putting it more in this absurd reality of they're not actively corrupt; they're just lazy and incompetent. So
That sounds so Martin.
yeah,
You
yeah.
railing, you lean into yourself because what you've done. Because
Right, it's what I live
that's
with.
That's your general complaint.
Yeah.
Your critique of modern society is
They're lazy and incompetent.
so many people are lazy,
Lazy
and
and incompetent.
So it's
pretty
he
much.
gets stymied in these investigations and things, but it's just
I think that
you
you,
know,
will
when
find
you
that will
stop
sell like
being
hotcakes.
so lazy and do something.
right.
Well,
See-
and Harry Bosch has talked about that. He's got the sign above his desk. Go out there and knock on doors, and that's part of
Right.
Connolly, who's he's
Yeah.
one of the masters of your genre in particular.
Yeah,
And I like that you've got that it's not necessarily a theme, but it's certainly a strong subtext
yeah,
to your novel.
You got to have
And-
it. Yes.
and influenced by that. Yeah,
I think some of the best novels have, at the very least, a principle that guides their world.
Right.
yeah,
Whether it's
Yeah.
a principle that is being railed against, or a principle that is just informs and
yeah.
creates
It's
the
just
backdrop.
out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it allows you to play against so much. It really does.
Yeah, and in this type of story, this is a way that you can add seeking and
Yes,
searching.
and that's Martin's stick.
Yeah, the main character is trying to seek allies. That classic hero's journey. You're going to have allies. You're going to have shapeshifters.
Mhm.
Who are the allies? Who are the shapeshifters? That kind of thing.
We are all. He has not allowed us to see one word of this either.
No?
So-
I've not shown a word either.
Well, that's true. You haven't.
Yeah, if
right.
I ever finish, then yes, you.
Well,
will
we never
be,
saw yours until you were
you'll
several
be,
drafts
You'll
in.
be the alpha
Didn't
readers.
you? Didn't you?
No, I think
No,
I think
You got you two got a very, very, very early draft.
I think it was
Very early draft.
high single digits. It was.
Oh yeah, it was probably 2 or 3.
Oh no, I think it was much higher than that.
I ended up that first book ended up with 48 drafts, which.
But it was complete. I mean, what I read was.
yeah,
complete. It
I wouldn't
wasn't
have sent it to
partial.
you unless it was.
Yeah,
complete,
yeah. And there were substantial changes between the first one that I saw and the last one I saw, and I'm sure there's still more changes I've yet to see.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's
That's why I kind of stopped. I wanted to see the.
So I'm really looking forward to when my copy gets here so that I can read finally the finished
Yes,
product.
and I'll be signing them the next time that we get together because we should.
Yes,
have
because
them.
I had wanted
Yeah,
you to
well-
sign it today, but,
Yeah, I know. I was
but I
hoping
didn't
to.
have it. So,
It-
anyways,
Ship this
So-
week.
that's where we are on the literary fronts. And now that we are like 18 minutes into my episode, we can get to the topic,
Yes.
which means we're going to probably have a short bourbon break.
That's
At least
okay.
we're- At least we're going to try and have one.
Yeah, right.
Because there's, like I said, this is a. I want to go deep on this one, and this is a bit of a serious topic.
All right, hit it. Let's have it.
So, the first quote that I want to hit you with, because like I said, I
I
think
feel
I'm gonna
like
hit you-
you're stalling.
the first. I'm just pulling a Francis.
I'm delaying. Yeah.
The first quote I'm
Skip
gonna
a
hit you
bit,
with will give you, I think, the direction, and there'll be some others I think that I will give to expand and explore,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all the same theme. So this is by David Foster Wallace from Infinite Jest.
Okay, that's Shakespeare.
And this is very much a Gen X kind of a thing. Sarcasm and jokes were often the bottle in which clinical depressives sent out their most plangent screams for someone to care and help them.
Oh wow,
Repeat?
that's Robin Williams in one
Mhm,
sentence.
yeah.
Repeat again.
Sarcasm and jokes were often the bottle in which clinical depressives sent out their most plangent screams for someone to care and help them. And by bottle, I think he means like you put a note in a bottle and you throw it out into the ocean.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Although
Message
you could double
in a
entendre that into the as
bottle.
in the alcoholic bottle too.
There is that is certainly a
Yeah.
It's an image that he's.
No, I mean,
as we sit here drinking bourbon.
yeah, I mean, but I definitely took it as like the bottle you throw
It's a cry
out.
for help.
Yeah, this is we put our screams in these jokes that serve humor serves as a vessel, as a cry for help.
Yes,
Wow.
sarcasm and especially inappropriate jokes, because again, this hits me as a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
Because we grew up in an era where we had to figure it all out for ourselves.
There was no political correctness.
Right.
No, there was.
There
As
was.
in the late '80s, there were definitely political.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the time
yeah.
we reached ascendancy,
Yeah.
after
I mean, you're a
college-
little bit younger than us, so
Yeah.
for you would have come into an adult you would have known nothing but that, I would think, because by the time we hit the late '80s, political correctness was a term that was out and about.
Yeah, you're
It was
talking
very
about
offensive,
80, 87, 88,
89,
right around that
yeah,
time.
90.
Yeah.
There were certain protected demographics, but by far everything was open for abuse.
Oh well,
Well, yeah.
there
Well,
were-
I mean,
growing up in
uh,
the late '60s, early '70s as children,
Oh,
overhearing this
absolutely.
stuff, there were none of that.
Right.
And we are, and please don't misunderstand me. We are the better for having certain things that are no longer considered funny.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, because there was no limits, and and some of the awful things that were the jokes that were made, just growing up. Even looking back at it, I think, that's not really.
I mean,
At the risk
yeah.
of offending our listeners in Poland, growing up, we had the Polak
Polak jokes, which was the generic version, but trust me,
There were worse.
they were much worse.
Yes.
And,
yeah. Well, I mean,
and I think our generation was the first to sit back and say, no, let's not. do that."
Exactly.
if you went
Let's
back to
not
the
do that.
'60s and you listened to Red Fox records,
Oh my God! Yes.
and then
Oh,
you
yes.
would go, "This guy had a TV show."
Oh no, the TV show was just that bad too.
Oh, I
No,
know,
it was more mild than his written.
But,
than his
but I
comedy
mean, if
albums.
you listen to his material, his original material, you go, "There's no way somebody gave this guy a freaking TV show."
Well, I mean,
But,
we had
there it was.
in
It
college.
was great. It was
I had
a huge
I had a
success.
copy of the video in the plain brown wrapper of his. You all remember that? We
Yes.
watched that multiple times, and now it was taped after Sanford and Son, so he was Red Fox
He was
by then.
yeah,
Yes.
But
star.
it was
But,
there
I mean,
was
we went
every form of profanity that could possibly be spoken, and some that were probably made up, came through on that video.
Right.
It was.
Well,
It was.
So there was
Yeah.
nothing that was inappropriate for much of our childhood, but still, though, I think where the quote is going at, though, is that we grew up in this time. Because again, I think this is especially true for us, when the struggles that an individual may have had, there were no ways to deal with those.
there were
for
some
most of
unique
us.
things to cope with.
There are
Yes.
unique things to cope
And-
with, but I mean,
Yes.
we didn't have the tools that our children have today.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
there
the
was
fir-
a reason that teenage suicide did
spike.
not exist really, essentially, until our generation. I mean, it's a, when you started to look out at the world and started to face the world, and then on top of, at any moment they can launch all the missiles. Oh, and I'm getting bullied in the gym. Again, this idea of we've got to find some way of coping, and so all of our screams of protest are going in these bottles, and we're hurling them out
Do you see a
as jokes and humor.
Do you see a connection here with the rise of things like Al-Anon, Alcoholics Anonymous, things like that, which predates all this, I understand, but it
Yeah,
really
it's-
became big in the late 60s, 70s. Do you see a causation, perhaps, between that and what happened in the late 60s, which was a result of the Vietnam War? All of a sudden, after that, a certain generation cried, "We will be heard, and we reject what went before." That's not uncommon, but for whatever reason, that change
No, I don't
was
think
I
so.
different.
think we responded to things differently than the boomers did.
Well, that's kind of where I'm trying to tease
because
with
we
this.
were feral.
Well,
I mean,
and that's
well,
kind of my point.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
we were
We
feral,
had to deal with our own issues in our
yes,
own
but
way.
I don't
and it didn't
necessarily
happen to us.
see the humor and the sarcasm as a cry for help as much as I see it as directly a coping mechanism.
Well, coping
Just as-
mechanisms are often, whether they are intended or not,
Yes,
a cry for help.
Yeah.
But
because
to be fair, I don't.
when you're hurting and that's the only way you know how to deal with it, to me that is the same as a cry for help, even
Well,
whether you
yeah.
intend it or not, because
But-
it's your way of dealing with things. Whereas
I mean,
a well-adjusted person, which is hardly nobody in this
or-
room,
Yeah, no.
uh, you know, relies on others, which is where we are today. I mean, that's what we've
Right.
taught
Well,
our children.
Right.
Well, yeah, because we have programs and systems like therapy and Al-Anon and all those.
Well, and-
Well, today there's a focus on mental health that never existed.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exact.
Well, people who went to see a psychiatrist, they were crazy.
Pun intended.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
now is it-
no
crazy.
pun intended.
No pun intended.
That's the
That's
thought.
that was
Well,
the
I mean,
definition.
you're
well, as our good friend Karen would say, all the cool kids go to therapy.
Yeah.
That's where we're at today. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm not knocking therapy.
Not at
at
all.
all.
No.
No,
I
I'm
think
just saying that for
it's
us,
a very good thing.
it was never a consideration.
There's no-
Whether it's because it
Um,
cost a lot of money, which, or just
Didn't
It was the
have.
stigma.
you didn't know anybody who did it.
Some of
No, it
that.
was the stigma because there was something wrong with you if you sought professional mental health.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. Just tell a
but we
dirty
didn't un-
joke and
we-
go on.
Yeah, we
Exactly.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
We just
and
I
that's why we insult I mean, do you think about it? Gen
We
X
did.
get together, half of our conversations are insulting one another.
Oh, they
Yeah.
are definitely.
and
Amen.
and again, it's not.
But out
just-
of love.
Our online conversations.
Yeah.
are
Our
definitely
online, yes.
easier.
It's not just what we dealt with too. Is again, we were not dealing with the things that the boomers were during
Yeah.
this most tumultuous time in our history. Again, that's dealing with the nuclear shadow and
Well,
And
Vietnam
Vietnam.
and all these other things
Yeah.
didn't affect us directly.
Although a lot of our
But we knew it, we
contemporaries-
understood it.
Well,
Yeah.
I think a lot of our
we were
contemporaries
alive during the time.
did have-
we witnessed it.
Well, they're
nuclear
parents.
war fears.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but Vietnam, Watergate, we were too young really to understand
Yes.
any of that.
By the time you get to
Well-
us, it is reduced, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
to the nuclear warfare.
Yeah, it's
that was the
it's
biggest
to the-
existential.
it's them.
The
It
Cold
happened
War.
to them, and that's we had our own things,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's cumulative.
Absolutely. I
it's
think.
cumulative. All these things happened,
Yeah.
and maybe we didn't understand Watergate, but we understood jokes about Watergate.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I mean, we could cope with all of those things that the older people were really dealing with. They were
Yeah,
in it.
exactly.
They were in the middle.
Well, yeah,
of
they were subject to the draft. We were too small to understand
Yeah.
it, but we do remember.
We
We could
remember it
remember
all.
because the body bags coming home
it. Yeah.
on the news and the discussions of peace talks and
Yeah.
the war and stuff like that.
So
It
we had
still
to-
is part of our foundational levels.
Yeah.
So the reason I wanted to bring this up,
Yeah.
is partially it's because it's just one of those things that, it is one of those things we kind of joke about. I mean, because it is almost it's almost a cliche now about Gen X being feral.
Oh, yeah.
And raising ourselves.
We
It's
were.
still true.
We
Yeah, it's
wore our
true.
house keys around our neck.
Well, we
Yeah.
were the first generation of latchkey children.
Yes.
Right. All of that is
That
still
never
very
happened
true.
Yeah.
And we're the only generation like that for the
Yeah.
most part. Some of the elder millennials still fall into that.
Yeah.
But no, we're
But for the most part, our generation is unique in that sense. Our generation, every generation is unique,
yes.
but most generations share an experience to a great degree with both the one that came before and the one that came after.
Yeah,
Not s-
the helicopter parents of today are a overreaction to what we experience.
Yes,
yes.
our
We-
generation is the
Oh, yeah.
helicopter parent. Yeah,
we are the helicopter parents
Yes.
because we had zero supervision. We were
Yeah.
left to our own.
right.
When we started raising our children, we were
Mhm.
like, we're not doing this.
We are not doing that.
Yeah, and that is a very common
And
phrase. From
the worst
generation
of
to
us
generation. We will
did it
not do that.
horribly. We overreacted in
Yeah.
that sense.
Period. Yes.
and became our
Um,
own cliche.
And became our own cliche, yes. So not having those any idea how to deal with all the crap that we had to deal with, the expectation, all the changes that we went through. A lot of the stuff, at least to me, some of this is about my own personal experience.
Yeah.
It's the same. Well, we all walk through that door. Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of this, whether you want to call it depression, whether you want to call it imposter syndrome, doesn't matter. It's all aspects of the same thing to me.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this whole using sarcasm and especially inappropriate humor and all of that, it's, as the Imperator says, it's not necessarily a cry for help so much as it's the only coping mechanism we could come up with.
Yeah.
The only thing we have.
That was it.
And one of the things, so, like I said, I've got several quotes that just kind of touch on this, and I want to use them as just, this is exactly what I think. For instance, imposter syndrome is like playing a never-ending game of hide and seek with your own self-confidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought up imposter.
And I
syndrome.
think that's an outgrowth of all of that.
We've never discussed that.
Oh, I think we've talked about imposter syndrome on the show before.
Perhaps, maybe so, but
We've
I'm
not dedicated an episode to
And I
this
don't
kind of
necessarily
stuff.
think it deserves that. But going back to, and here's a tie-in for you, back to the fact that we're all doing these writing projects. Most of us are. Imposter syndrome is all over the place in the writing community.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It is
Absolutely.
it is everywhere, and I'm kind of confused with that because, and I know my journey is unique, and I've been very, very blessed that things have fallen in place much quicker than so many others do. All that being said, I never found myself anyway in a position thinking, I can't do this. I got to the point where no, I love doing this, and even if it never sells and nobody ever reads it, I know it's damn good.
Imposter syndrome is simply a lack of self-confidence that my worth in this field is not equal to others, where it is.
And when
I would hardly say simply.
Well,
Yeah.
I agree, especially
Because
in the-
I think that,
I mean-
no offense to what you're saying, I think that minimizes the impact.
well in the
I
writing.
Those of us who deal with imposter syndrome, whether it be writing,
Yeah.
career, our personal relationships, whatever, it is much bigger than that.
Writing is just an easy location that we're all familiar with.
It is.
that where it's everywhere.
And that it is so common.
Is
common.
Well, I mean,
is the
you've got-
difference?
You've got a whole
so go ahead.
generation now of things like Instagram models,
yeah.
and all of these other things that people get such feedback, even if it's limited.
Mhm.
I mean, when you're throwing out to an audience of 6 billion people, and you get 3,000 responses back,
That's minuscule.
but it's minuscule. But to an individual that's alone, that's huge.
That's true. Yeah.
See, I
usually-
think
That
that's a
that
big part of it.
feedback,
Yeah,
that
the
it-
support,
The support,
the
that you're
positive support. Again,
getting. Yes.
I mean, not to like glom onto your accomplishment, Francis, but I think
Mhm.
part of why you felt like you could accomplish what you did
yeah.
is you had
had
people
several-
who back you.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yes.
There's no. Don't
Yeah.
please don't hear me that I didn't minimize that. That I
Yeah.
minimized
Well,
that.
yeah, because
No,
it did. It
Oh,
did
really?
come
No,
off
no,
that
no.
way.
Yeah.
It
It's,
did come off as in, well, why would anybody have
No,
this
no, no, I'm
issue?
saying that
Because
yeah,
I
no,
did.
But
I
I
just-
get why people who are alone would have that
Yes.
Yes.
that void of self confidence.
which is
which
where I
goes
was
back to what I was talking about.
which I'm trying to get back to exactly
We don't
is
talk about our feelings
yeah is
That's
and our
true.
issues.
is the loneliness comes before.
Well, you're
the-
sitting in a room with 5 men, and men are trained not to reveal their true feelings because
Yes.
if I say to you, I'm worried about this,
Well,
or I've,
Gen X men.
Gen X.
Gen X men,
Yes.
it's showing weakness, and weakness
But
is a
you know,
vulnerability.
I think in this group though we've overcome that.
We
Oh, yeah,
have.
well,
I feel
well,
like we really
this is a
have.
group of
I mean,
friends.
in a small group.
Yeah.
We are not going to air all this under our real names
Well,
on
I don't have a
Facebook.
problem with it.
Right. Absolutely. If Francis went on a public forum and said, "Hey, I'm a novelist," yes, there would be 20% of the replies would be, "Well, yeah, right."
Yeah.
You know, so it is
Or
important.
who do you think
Yes.
you are? But
Yeah.
see, that's
oh,
kind of
you-
stuff,
you're
though-
J.K. Rowling now, or you're Ian Fleming now.
Yeah.
That's-
But see, that's kind of shit
He wishes he was
that goes on in a
It
lot of
does.
our heads.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
There's a lot of, and this is not just imposter syndrome that
Right,
I
right.
want to explore here. That's part of it. That's a huge part of it. because one of the things that kind of goes into this, imposter syndrome leads to depression, which goes back to that, to the first part of that quote about the sarcasm and jokes, or how we deal with stuff.
Does it? My question is, could that not be the other way around?
It's a cycle, is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, they certainly feed
So
each
it's a
other.
circle. It's you can't say which one comes first.
That's kind of what I just make sure.
Yeah,
of.
I don't think you can, because you talk to any 10 people, you're probably gonna get 5 say one comes first, 5 say the other comes first.
That's good. I wanted to tease that out because I wasn't sure myself.
The environment you surround yourself with makes a difference.
It does, and that's one of the things that, as Brother Andre points out, having this circle of friends that we do, and I yes, I understand that you're the newest to this particular circle, although several of us here have known you for years, a decade
Exactly.
or more. But for the rest of us, we've known each other more than 30 years, which in itself is very unique.
Actually, close to 40.
Well, I was trying to not
you're
go
right
that
at 40,
far. Yeah,
yeah.
it is technically 40.
They remember 40. You don't.
Yeah, that's you
I
don't
don't
even
remember.
Yeah, you don't remember 40.
I don't remember.
But Martin and I have known each
I've
other
known you guys my whole life.
for more than 40 years.
Yeah.
We're coming up on 40 for you guys.
Yeah.
40 for you, and I think this would be 39 for you.
Sounds about right.
But still, though,
It's
I mean,
an
you average it out, it's still
But
40.
I think
It's extraordinary.
I think one of the advantages that we as a group have is that we're not afraid to be flawed. We're not afraid
that's
to
very
express the fact.
That's very
we're
insightful.
flawed.
And we do not judge each other's
Very
flaws
insightful.
at all.
Very
And,
insightful.
We
as far
recognize
as
we all have them,
me
and we're okay with
personally,
it.
Well,
I go to all kinds of group therapies because I'm a flawed individual. I do need to grow. I do need to develop. But I mean, that's like my wife and I are approaching 35 years of marriage in 2 weeks. Okay.
Congratulations.
proof that there is a God.
We still go to therapy. We go to counseling, to therapy, relationship therapy every week.
See, and
If I were married to you, I would need therapy.
Yeah, I know.
well, yes,
But I mean, the whole reason behind this is
and that's a great
we-
example of what I was talking
we
about.
always want to get better.
The sarcasm.
Yeah,
yeah,
sarcasm's
well,
fine.
I mean,
But we meant that in love.
That is
We
that
did.
is again. I know, stress the listeners. I mean, we're not kidding here. It's 30, 40 years,
Yeah.
and yes, we will bust each other's balls.
Oh yeah,
but
we're assholes.
in the end,
We'll defend each
we
other.
absolutely believe in one another.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, exactly.
We call
again,
this the brotherhood for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, we all have that
man,
key
Francis here.
key area of humility, I think,
Yeah.
most of the time.
I don't know about that. For
Well,
me.
yeah,
we laugh about it.
Well, no, but
We laugh about it,
hold on though.
Marcus,
That's
but you do.
You're right.
We all do.
I want to explore that for just a second.
Yeah.
So let me lay something out here.
Do it.
So you joke about that,
I do.
but it takes great humility to admit that you and your wife do couples therapy.
Exactly where I was
Well,
going.
yeah, but I mean,
Humility does not mean that you put yourself down.
I understand.
Yeah,
that.
quite the opposite.
It's just
Uh,
it's that
it's
you're
just-
honest
well,
about
yeah,
your
I mean,
flaws.
You're
But I
honest
now-
about I'm not there yet.
Right.
we want a marriage that is eternally getting better.
Right. And
A
that's
relationship that does that.
right. And that, but that's not my point though. My point is though is
I
that
know.
is
The
that
admission.
that the admission is the issue.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about that, Martin, I think it was, that said, we talk about the fact that we're
Yeah.
not perfect, and I forget what was exactly you said. You may not even remember, but the word.
Well, I
you used.
mean, we always, all of us always say, well, we're flawed creatures.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
So, but for some of us, we use self-deprecating humor as a
Mhm.
shield.
To
Yeah.
mask
True.
real feelings of inadequacy.
Yes.
That, no, I can't really
Mhm.
accomplish this.
When you say
Yes.
some of us, do you mean some of us here in the Brotherhood or just in general?
Both.
I was gonna
Yes.
say,
Well,
Oh, it's-
both.
it's
I
a
agree
both.
with the
Both.
general.
It's a both and.
I can
All right.
certainly accept that. Yeah.
Because one of the things that my own version of imposter syndrome is my own use of that self-deprecating humor.
Mm-hmm.
One of there's what's the trying to think of the wording here. So there's a question you can pose to people to get their how their psyches work.
What high school did you go to?
No, that's a Kentucky thing.
That's very.
That's a whole different.
That's
That's
a
a whole
very
different
Louisville
thing.
That's a very Louisville judgy.
Yeah,
elitist-
it is.
Yeah.
No, it's you asked the question. You asked me to complete this statement. No matter what I do, or no matter what I do, and you're supposed to finish that question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I still can't something. It's always a negative. It seems.
It is,
I don't know.
and it's designed to tease out the negative. And
Mine
I'm
is
not
I keep
probably
trying.
phrasing it exactly right, but the two responses tend to be, "I'm not good enough," or "It's never enough." Okay. So meaning it's either about my personal worth
Mhm.
or my personal efforts, one or the other.
I guess mine's the positive expression of that. With I keep trying.
Well,
That's a really
that's
good
why
one.
you are the imperator, sir.
Yeah.
so the these are the kind of things that I think a lot of us, especially the guys of our age, because the imposter syndrome it started out as a female thing. This is men deal with this way more than women.
Yeah.
The science is finally
In the
catching
professional
up with this.
world.
We just didn't
especially.
talk about it
Yeah.
as much.
We just don't talk about
Yeah,
it
we
as
don't talk
much.
about shit usually.
So I've got another, but
what is just real quick before you do another thing? What was the middle part of that quote there? Something about clinical.
the original quote:
Yes.
sarcasm and jokes were often the bottle in which clinical depressives sent out their most plangent screams for someone to care and help them.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that I have an issue with on this quote is you don't have to be clinically depressed to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, we all do it.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
technically, I think we're all a little bit clinically depressed.
Well, clinically has a very specific definition,
mean,
but I understand what you're
yeah,
saying.
Yeah, but I mean, it's much broader than that,
Mhm.
and again, especially for our generation in particular.
we never
uh,
discussed our feelings.
Yeah, but
Right.
we've always used. I mean, look at somebody like Eddie Murphy on stage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we would memorize that stuff and
Right.
Talk
use
about
it
it.
at every opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was covering a ton of emotions.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Now, one of the things I want to throw out here before we go to bourbon break is a quote that I think fits us
Mm-hmm.
as not necessarily a remedy, but
Okay.
it is perhaps a response
Oh,
to this
responses.
situation that we secretly find ourselves in and don't talk about.
Door number one.
And as you say that, because that we talked about
Mm-hmm.
door number options 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
This is a quote by Camus.
Oh,
I
really?
so love this.
Friendship is a knowledge acquired by free men, and there is no freedom without intelligence or without mutual understanding. Now that freedom,
Oh, wow.
Shared pain.
that freedom to me, at least partially, is freedom from these internal demons.
Repeat the quote, please.
Friendship is a knowledge acquired by free men, and there is no freedom without intelligence or without mutual understanding.
So
And-
those who are not intelligent are not free, prisoners.
Well, we tend
Or
to
without
we
mutual
tend-
understanding.
Without
We tend
mutual
to enslave
understanding.
them.
Okay.
It could be an either or both
I mean,
and depending how you
it's-
want to
yeah,
read
I
that.
mean, friendship
Mhm.
is the highest expression of freedom because without freedom, you're so willing, no matter who you call a friend, you're so willing to,
You'll sell them
push-
out in a heartbeat.
yes, you're pushing, just
Mhm.
like Winston in 1984. The ultimate sign of his breaking is when he says, "Do it to Julia."
Yes.
Do it to Julia. He sold her out despite his believed love for her.
Yes.
So that's
Friendship is trust.
you're right.
Yeah.
You'll substitute or sacrifice the others for yourself, but in doing that, you're just as much a slave as they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this trust, that friendship, the implication of trust, that is why I say that is the response
Mhm.
that this group provides to those inner demons.
Yeah.
I hate the term, but it creates that quote unquote safe space to where if we chose to, we can explore these concepts and ideas and demons with each other. Now,
Mhm.
granted, we don't do that very often.
Perhaps
However, we know that there is absolutely no judgment amongst this group
truth.
for any
Yeah.
any of those demons we
Yeah,
choose to bring
yeah.
up.
So-
Absolutely none.
You know,
So let me- oh no, go
the
ahead. brother.
vitriol that I had at that phrase "safe space" was unconscionable, but it is true that in this group we do have a space where we're free to express our
Deepest, darkest secrets
Yeah.
if we choose.
But
I,
it's-
I prefer the term
Without judgment.
esprit de corps.
Yeah.
Is what we have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a less offensive term, I think.
But it's
But
not
but
so
safe
much-
space really it does give, I think, a better
Yeah, it's more accurate.
definition.
You're right.
Yeah.
yeah.
As much again, it became a cliche that I hate.
Yeah.
You know, as you, it's
Yeah.
almost a vitriolic response to it, Brother Andre. But
Ooh,
But
I
it's-
think vitriolic gets a button. Word boner.
yes, thank you.
This
Yes,
is-
we had no word bon. How did we not have any word
Word
boners
boners
during
during
Camus? Oh my God!
We were just asleep at the wheel. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, I don't think we
I
had
we
any.
didn't
I
have
don't-
any.
I didn't come up with any
No.
I mean, theoretically,
existential or something. Probably should have gotten one, but
yeah, but I think
We're
that was
usually good at calling each other out when
Yeah.
somebody says it. You know.
if
Yeah.
we had used it in a way other than to describe something, that-
Yeah.
or a movement,
So-
maybe. But yeah,
so
I
I
don't know.
think this is. I think this is elevated above a safe space.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is beyond
This
that.
is beyond
yes.
this because it's not even about. Oh, it's safe to say anything here. It's not only is it safe, you don't even have to. We believe in you
Yes,
generally.
yes.
well,
Like
I know.
Robert, I don't want you to doubt that you can finish the 4-time being.
Mhm.
I want you to know I believe in you
Yeah.
and you can do it.
Here. We all agree.
But I mean,
Intellectually, no, I know I can. Usually, for
it's-
my issues though,
It's the feeling. I know. Yeah.
come to the worth, not the ability, and those are two very different.
Oh, I know what
things.
you mean. I know what you mean.
Oh,
Like-
okay.
Yes,
And I totally
mean-
get that. And I want you to know I will feel like it's the greatest thing in the world.
well, I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
do because
Catching on with the populace is, I mean, everybody tries, right?
Sure.
You think you know what's going to catch on, but you never know.
you never know.
well, you hope,
never know.
Yeah.
The
and if it
damn-
happens, that'd be awesome.
the
but-
Gong Show caught on. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
never
That it came out of
know.
nowhere and it nailed it right in the bullseye. Right in the center. Robin Hood, that
What
bad boy.
catches on?
Talk
That's
about
not the normal
absurdism.
definition of word boner, but the concept is.
Word boner.
the absurdism.
Yeah.
that-
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is like the ultimate absurd.
You
But you
know,
see, we-
so it's just
But
you can't know. So don't worry about the worth. Just do.
But you see,
We
one
love
of the
you.
things that we've got here is we are so comfortable with each other and
Yes.
so honest with each other that we've also got no issue with broadcasting this. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just,
Well-
to be fair, the only reason we're using pseudonyms is to protect an individual who's with the government.
Well, but you know what?
Not entirely. but-
That's not entirely true because I think some of the stuff
Yeah.
that we talk about as deacons, I don't know that we
It's
want
also
our-
convenient.
and it's convenient.
Yeah.
it's,
And it's
fun.
fun.
It's,
It's
fun.
fun.
And we
Yeah, there it
enjoy-
is.
we
Well, also,
enjoy
our
it.
pseudonyms also give an insight to what our personal
Absolutely.
That it does.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That it does.
You know, I chose Saint Robert Bellarmine
Mhm,
partially because we went to Bellarmine,
mhm.
He's a doctor of the church.
but he's a doctor of the church who is responsible for much of the counter Reformation or counter rebellion.
I
No,
chose
no.
Andre simply because he was a servant, not worthy of any other recognition. But greatness can be achieved
Mhm.
through the
Yes.
simplest of
Yeah.
and
tasks.
perhaps your pseudonym is more indicative of who you are than any of ours, even
Mhm.
as much as we.
Mine
put
is
into ours.
aspirational.
Yeah.
Don't-
Again, in the short time I've known you, just the core basic decency,
Yeah.
of just being a nice person
Mhm.
is so striking. So you absolutely picked the right.
Absolutely,
Pseudonym.
yes.
I didn't pick mine.
That's true. You know, that is true. You are the only one that did not
I
pick
am.
yours. We have just always called you
The Imperator.
Yeah,
Imperator. Marcus
came
Aurelius.
It came up in episode 58 when I was dying.
Well, even before then, we called you.
I know.
Because the Latinizing of
I know.
to Marcus, but and Marcus Aurelius. Or
Yes.
Well, and we also have Sexy Beast we can use.
that's
Yes,
true. You are
that
Sexy
comes
Beast.
from the missus.
Yeah, you're the only one with multiple titles.
Oh,
That's true.
I've got lots of titles that have been used over the years.
and then
Some
course,
of which can even be aired.
Some.
Francis is
Well, I mean, you guys actually, I think, kind of suggested that to me at first. I don't.
No, I think you came up with
Yeah,
it.
Did I do that?
Yes,
It's been
yes.
years. We've slept.
This
a
is
few
entirely
times.
yours.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how I ended up with it. to be honest.
Franciscus was it Dignitatis?
Humanitatis.
Humanitatis.
Because it might have been that too. I don't remember. But it going back, it's not Francis of Assisi, although it could have been. It's St. Francis de Sales, because there is a zeal that he brought that I found very, very appealing into the way that he's going to go forth and going to, with love and with charity and with all of God's grace on full fire display, speak to you the truth. And that's kind of what I found that very, very attractive. So that's kind of where I went there.
And that's a good spot.
And Martin?
Martin Luther.
Oh yes,
That's right. Yeah.
well, the rebellion, the rejection of
Well, he was the lone Protestant, so to speak, or at least non-Catholic voice in the Snakes and
in
Otters.
the original
In the OG.
construction. Yeah, the OGs. So there you go. He was
Yeah.
Martin Luther.
And still remains the only non-Catholic voice in.
That's true. Although he's certainly not the only non-practicing.
Yeah,
Now-
Cajuns drifted.
Once the copyright is installed in baptism, it's
Yeah.
good for life.
Well,
That's
yeah,
true.
But to be fair, he did go to a Catholic high school and college.
He did.
He knows more about Catholicism than just
He-
about any.
Than
He is
most of
the-
the people in the
yeah.
pews.
he is the most Catholic non-Catholic I've ever met.
Oh, absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
We've rubbed off on him. Or rubbed
Well,
on him
yes.
off.
I
Well,
will
the-
swim the Tiber with him.
Yeah.
The,
All right.
the rigor of Catholic thought is appealing.
Well, that's why I believe there are so many Catholics on the Supreme Court. The rigor of thought
Oh, absolutely.
is telling.
Absolutely, yes, because it's the same deal.
Yes.
It's searching for that nugget in the mountain of words that is the revealed truth to us all.
And I'm not saying that there are no deep thinkers among non-Catholics. I'm not.
No, but
But-
nobody's ever met a judgmental Catholic.
And on that note,
Yeah.
bourbon break. Bit late on this episode, but I think we may be a little long on this one.
Well, I kind of expected when you said you had a few backup quotes to go with it. I said, yeah, and we also did the
a
side,
very long.
Writing
side rabbit hole. Yeah.
Yes.
But that means we're just going to do short on the bourbon break. So I will start. I have something entirely new to the show.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
excellent. We always love that.
So I've had this bottle for a little bit. This is Larceny Barrel Proof. And this is 124.2 proof. That's 62.1% alcohol. And
Have the Imperator get a sniff.
so this is the first time we've had this on the
Verboses in
show.
it.
And you certainly know when you have your first sip of this that it is 124 proof. However,
Put hair on your nipples.
However, it's smooth. You let this bloom a little bit, and just like my favorite of the higher proofs, like a Booker's,
Yeah.
as a for instance, it has just a wonderful mouthfeel to it. The flavor,
So it's the cask strength that makes it so high proof.
yes,
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
but it's
Barrel
got,
proof. It's
Barrel proof. Yeah.
It's
right out of the
got a
barrel.
real heavy fruitiness to it.
yeah. There's a
oh,
there's a good sweetness to it
There is.
when you get it on the mouth initially.
kind of like a fruit sweetness, like maybe cherry. And
Yeah, it's a
sweet.
mix of stuff. Take a whiff
Here,
of that.
I need
you got
to-
you got a honker. You can do this.
Well, hold on. I need to put more in it.
Okay.
I've finished this off.
But yeah,
already.
it's very very.
That's how much I like this.
it's
normally
very fruity.
yeah,
it's not in a bad
Robert
way.
doesn't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, I don't have to go anywhere. I can drink all
He
day.
can hit 125 proofers and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's maybe there's a little bit of cherry in that.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
cherry, but there's some other fruits too. Maybe some apple.
Little it's
apricot,
citrusy, maybe, perhaps,
Yeah.
And it's got the standard bourbon caramel vanilla
Oh, yeah.
hints to it, especially in the mouth. I think, as usual, that's I think where you mostly get those. Not
but
always.
I think you're gonna have a little bit of wild turkey, that kind of pear and vanilla to it.
Yeah,
be.
Yeah,
Could
they're good at that.
But
it's very.
This is a Heaven Hill product, though.
The fruitiness is very distinctive.
Yeah.
So since I just topped this off, it's very little flowering with the melted water, but your first taste, you get that little bit of a burn, but it's not a hot ethanol burn. It's more of a it just hits you. It's like, okay, yeah, this is high proof. That's I think where that woodsy, smoky,
Yeah,
kind of hits you.
It's very smooth,
but it
smelling.
quickly blends. And unlike a Blanton's where the blending causes it to disappear, this just really does bloom. Oh my gosh, this is so good. This is I think about a $60 bottle, give or take a little, maybe 70.
I'll have to try that sometime.
It is excellent.
Yeah,
I've
it's
always
very-
liked the regular
When,
ones.
when I
very
don't plan to
nice.
go anywhere. No, it smelled terrific. I mean,
Oh yeah,
again, that
I've had high hopes for this.
I
and I'm
get where you get the
very
fruity.
pleased.
yeah. It's very
yeah.
distinctive
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
very distinctive to this as opposed to most of the other bourbons.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with this. Very pleased.
Yeah.
Martin, what are you drinking?
So I had Knob Creek 12-year-old. It's 100 proof.
Wow.
I believe we've had that before on the show at Cajun's, perhaps.
No,
I know he's had a bottle.
we had the 18 year
We had the 18.
when we went to Bourbon Fest.
I think I have a bottle of this at home.
That's right. I think you did get a
I,
bottle.
I
yes.
did, but I have not opened it.
Oh, okay.
So this is encouraging me to open it because, wow,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good.
boom smooth.
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen a 12-year-old bourbon that was bad. I'm sure they might exist, but
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
And I mean, again, it does show the value of aging with that mellowness and that
Yes.
smoothness
Mhm.
and just that wonderful that interaction with the wood where you get that tiny bit of
Mhm.
woodsiness to it.
And having it only be 100 proof, unlike the Larceny,
Yeah.
it doesn't. The aging
Oh,
makes
yeah.
up for the
yeah,
the lack of proof.
yeah. And 100 proof is such a good sweet spot.
No pun intended.
It's and that wasn't super smooth. It wasn't as smooth as the Heaven Hill bottled in bond. But it's just very smooth. Again, kind of the sort of that vanilla candy almost flavor to it, and just that was really good. So I'm gonna have to open my bottle of 12-year-old Knob Creek, which I mean, just Knob Creek is
I
just
think
awesome.
one of the things that a high age really says about a bourbon, and probably helps with the smoothness and the integration of the flavors and everything else, is the fact that when you're spending 12 or 20 years doing this, making a particular whiskey, bourbon, that you are invested in it. When you're talking about the distiller,
yeah,
and what have you,
they
you're
can't
more-
screw it
you're
up.
More
They got it
invested,
because they would let it sit
yeah,
for so
you're
long.
more invested in the
Yeah.
particular bourbons, the older ones,
The payoff is so much out.
exactly, and the
yeah.
expense.
Yeah,
I mean, and the risk
Yeah.
that you're going with to get an older, very well aged bourbon is a lot more. There's more caretaking, more investment,
Yeah.
as opposed to we've seen so many of these startups that are just buying from somebody and rebottling it.
Well, they're not rebottling. They're
Well,
just
they're buying it bottled.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
and
that's not a new thing.
Oh
though.
no, it's not.
And one of the things I've always loved about Knob Creek, to me, it was really one of the first bourbons where I could get that awesome sort of maple syrup flavor.
Yes.
And they all have that. Even, I mean, the smoked maple
Yeah.
is an extreme example, but even regular Knob Creek has a
Mhm.
very subtle kind of, this is the pancake breakfast,
Mhm.
fellowship at church kind of taste to it. And
You should have been with us
Knob
when we
Creek
went
is
to-
awesome.
to Memphis.
Every
Oh, that was a great church.
Because when we went to Memphis to see the psychedelic furs, that Sunday morning, we went
Yeah.
to one of the local churches for mass. They had a breakfast after mass.
Yeah.
It was part of their outreach, I think, to the
Yeah.
homeless.
Community.
But they invited everybody.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was a great
Yeah,
breakfast.
we
It was
talked.
a great
To,
Technically,
we
was
talked to the
you.
pastor a little bit.
The
Told him
mass,
who we
the
were.
mass was a blast.
Yes.
Think of a Catholic mass with a Southern Baptist choir and a Southern Baptist
It's
priest.
Memphis, yeah, and he was a really
Oh, it was wonderful.
It was great.
had,
It really
had a great
was.
conversation with him afterwards.
Yes.
Right.
But anyways,
Francis, what did you have, sir?
I am returning to the tried and the true, and I believe Brother Andre has joined me on this. I had to go back to that Heaven Hill bottled in bond.
it was that
Mhm.
good.
It's
It
really
was-
good.
it was
Gone.
smooth.
I mean, I
It's really
bought a
good.
bottle of it myself. I haven't cracked it. I've been wanting to, and we saw it out this morning on Robert's shelf upstairs. It says, "I've got to do it. I've heard so many good things about it.
Mhm.
I don't recall seeing them at Bourbon Fest. I didn't, but maybe you guys.
I don't know. I don't
I
think
don't
so.
know.
I've seen it on the shelf in stores
And
all over,
something-
and I've been so tempted.
and
to get
and for
one.
all of our, hey, if the Heaven Hill Distillery folks are listening, you did good with this one here, and a lot of it is that perfect bottle.
And
That the blue, the layout, it's just
It is a
Yeah.
beautiful presentation.
it is beautiful presentation. It is modern, and yet it also reaches backwards, and it says clean to me.
Reach back,
and-
not reach around.
and,
Yeah,
and
and
you're
it-
welcome to check us out on the web to get our mailing address to send a case.
Just email us,
Well,
We'll get
my
you an address.
sacristan at one of my parishes works for Jim Beam, and matter of fact, he gave me the bottle of Basil Hayden in the that was finished in the wine cask
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because he was not a fan of that. Now he really likes the smoked one.
yeah. The subtle smoke,
Subtle
which
smoke,
is really
yeah.
we featured that before here.
And matter of fact, he shared a bottle of the 18-year with me and the pastor and the other deacon and our candidate. But anyways, we really need to see if he can work us out a sponsorship.
I know. Can you get me a bottle of the 10-year-old Basil Hayden?
I don't know. That might be a little bit more difficult because
Well,
I don't know how
Yeah.
long that's going to be on the shelf.
I
Well,
mean, that dude right there and the 10-year-old Basil Hayden, I would love to be able to put my hands on.
well, I can.
That's
wait,
only about $70.
Yeah.
yeah, and you can get it at the Mount Washington Kroger.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh,
I've seen it
I
there.
think it's
I've seen
gone.
it.
Or
I think
you
it's
can go-
gone now.
You may want to go around the corner when you leave here because last time I was in the Kroger's over here, they still had it.
Oh, okay.
Almost picked it up.
I will tell you this much here, and Robert knows this because we've talked about it. Next time we record, we'll be at Studio F, and we will be cracking that bottle because I have it uncracked, just waiting for us.
Of which? Oh, of the 10-year.
10-year Basil Hayden.
10-year
yeah, so
Basil Hayden. That's
that's
one I've been
certainly-
wanting to try.
Well, you've got
And
the opportunity
And this
to do
Heaven
that.
Hill I've been wanting to try. And
Same
they're
here. That's why I tried
very,
it.
very good.
Mhm.
It's it's good. It's really
Yeah.
good.
So we're gonna have to figure out when we're gonna squeeze in the Old Forester all four bottle tasting.
Well, we might,
But we've kind of done that though.
Well, I mean together to
we've
compare
never-
We
them
do have
together.
big news on bottle collection.
Well, that's true. I was able to find. Now it is being re-released.
Yes.
And
But you
so-
did you get one of the originals, right?
No, I got one of the second
Second
release,
release,
but
okay.
you really can't tell the difference because it's a 10-year Old Forester 1924
Mhm.
that I just followed them on Instagram and I got a notification. Hey, we're rolling it out again. You'll be able to find it at some of your selected retailers, but if you go down to our gift shop downtown on Main Street in Whiskey Row
Mhm.
on such and such a date when we open, we're having them. And that's not that far for me to drive, so I went down there at lunchtime and danged if they still didn't have it. So they gave me a nice little gift bag and with a little piece of chocolate in there, $115.
They really should have called this one the 1925. Just changed it every year.
It's a very good idea. Very good idea. One of the reasons they don't do it as much is because it's a 10-year,
Yeah.
10 years.
Right, and that's why
It's
I said
an
about
investment.
the Basil Hayden. There's no telling how long they'll keep doing that.
Right. Yeah.
Have we cracked the Monks Road Faithfully Crafted yet?
I have
Cajun has.
Cajun
Yeah,
has.
Cajun
No
has.
Cajun.
I have it. I have 2 bottles. If we want to crack it next time at my place, we're welcome to. We got a lot of bourbon to crack. It sounds like.
Yeah.
here.
Oh yes,
It does. I mean,
yes.
well, you guys saw it. I've got more bottles on the top of my cabinet that are unopened than I do in the bottom part, which is where we normally draw. Although these are both unopened, the Heaven Hill and the Larson.
These are-
I do believe we have become Renaissance men.
These are difficult decisions. I don't know whether to buy bourbon or ammunition.
Well, in the zombie apocalypse, both are valuable.
Yes, I know. I
Both-
know.
One
I
is
know.
one what you trade. The other is what you defend. What you trade.
Both are currency.
No,
Mhm.
no. You only give away your ammunition one at a time downrange.
Okay.
Yes.
You never trade ammunition.
Yeah.
Not unless it's somebody that like you really know well.
Yeah, like I mean, you're carrying a 45 and I've got a 9. I mean, I might deal you.
Yeah.
To get some extra 9 ammo.
But he's got to really trust you to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which I do because circling back,
It's the
Yeah.
here we
brotherhood.
are. It's the brotherhood,
Mhm.
Yep.
and so yeah.
Andre, did you have any particular more comments about
Yes,
that?
because you
Yeah,
you
This
have
is
not
your
spoken.
first time on this one.
I also tried the Heaven Hill 7-year-old bottled in bond. I just wanted to mention the notes that I was picking up on it.
Yes.
I got some cinnamon on it, and I've
Yeah,
got some
yeah.
That's what we
pepper-
read.
peppercorn, and I'm picking up some more notes on them because I'm not
Did
sure
you
I
get
shared it.
the brown sugar because I was kind of
Yeah.
I did not get the brown sugar. I
Okay.
didn't get the
Well, that's
sweetness.
that's the sweetness.
I didn't get the sweetness. on it.
Really interesting.
Well, now the bourbon that I had previous to this was
Well,
the
was
odd
so
fruit.
sweet.
It was so sweet. I think it
In
spoiled my
comparison,
palate.
yes.
Yes.
It's kind of like having a heavy rye. It colors everything
Yeah,
afterwards.
it does.
But this is a very tasty bottle.
It is,
and
yes.
it has some complexities. But I was going to share with you in November, I had some stomach surgery, and my surgeon suggested to stop carbonated beverages. So, like you all have mentioned in previous episodes,
Yep.
your palate starts to pick up
Mhm.
subtle notes
Yeah.
when you're not drinking carbonated beverages.
Mhm.
Yes.
The heavy corn syrup sugar in soft drinks just overwhelms your palate.
Yes.
And
I was
it
drinking
does.
diet at the time, so it wasn't the corn syrup.
Well, no, but it's still though it
Even
has
that stuff.
sweetness in it that
It's
Yeah.
just so.
and honestly, it's not necessarily just. I am finding that even though I drink the Vernors, obviously,
Yeah.
but I don't drink much of it compared to what I used to at all.
Yeah.
As far as the Cokes go, the lighter colored stuff definitely does not impact your taste buds as much as the colas.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So even though there's not the heavy corn syrup, there's something about the darker colas that definitely has a bigger effect.
Well, Mountain Dew is so sweet.
Yes.
So many of them are just so sweet. They just your palate becomes. It's almost like an addiction. It has to have them.
And in many
But-
ways, they're unnatural sweetnesses. Not just like unnatural
Yeah.
sweeteners, but it's just not a naturally
I mean, it's
occurring
just yeah,
flavor.
yeah. It's just so unusual
Well-
to for that much sweetness to be in something, and your palate just starts. It's just addicted.
It's
to it.
overwhelmed
Well,
too.
and
Yeah.
I was listening to a scientist the other week who was talking about how the colas in particular, as opposed to some of the other sodas, you have no memory on your palate. That doesn't build up a memory on your palate as you're going through the day. So one of the things with the colas is you can end up drinking that literally all day, and you're not going to get sick of it. From morning to night.
Interesting.
But
And a lot of people do. I mean,
Yes.
and a lot of people do. Now, the other sodas and what have you, things like the ginger ales, Sprites, root beers, what have you, you build up that flavor during the day, so you get sick of it the longer you're drinking it. So you drink less.
Interesting.
yeah. So you end up
You end up
stopping.
drinking less.
Yeah, and you
Uh,
pass on it.
Which
yeah.
is I hadn't really thought of it that way.
I think that's a very valid thing. Just
Yeah.
thinking about my own experience with soft drinks. Yeah.
Yeah, I could
So
drink colas all day and
yeah,
not
which is
have an
one of the
issue
reasons
with
why I
it.
don't do it anymore.
Yeah, I don't either.
I have
Try not
so
to.
little sugar in my drinks now.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, you even drink unsweetened tea.
Yeah,
That's an
unsweetened tea.
abomination. I didn't grow up in the South with it, even though my roots are 100% Southern. Even I think that's an abomination.
Once you get used to it, it's delicious.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my God, you
I
guys
love
are
it.
crazy.
That or do a half and half with lemonade.
Yeah, the
Well, I do that a bunch.
Yeah,
I do
the
that a
Arnold
bunch.
Palmer,
Arnie.
yeah.
I get those liquid deaths. I do
Mhm.
love those, and so those are flavored. The Rest in Peach and the Armless Palmer are the kind of the part lemonade, part tea, and I love them.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a tiny bit of sweetness and some flavor,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed. But I just regular unsweet tea. I love. It's to me. There's a ton of flavor there. Love it.
If you can do that, that's fantastic because it very much, as in anything that you put into your mouth,
Yeah.
is it is personal preference. It's
Yeah.
what you get out of it.
Uh-huh. That's true. No
On
matter
that
your
note-
sexual
And on that
preferences.
note, let's return
I'm
to
laughing at jokes the Imperator hasn't even told.
I know.
right, right.
You could see it in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's got to think where being the group that we are, those jokes went off in our head without even.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Hey, do you remember when you said we are going to have a short bourbon break?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
about to say the
Failed.
same
Yeah,
thing.
that
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Nah,
happened.
that's
All right,
okay.
put us back on
So-
track, Captain.
So to return to our topic, which is the quotes that started us off was about how we deal with depression, which is by today's standards very inappropriate ways, right?
Oh yeah. Unhealthy.
Again, is considered unhealthy. I don't know that I agree with that 100%.
I don't either. I enjoy it.
But again, that's also maybe our own twisted.
Yeah. We are sick
outlook.
individuals.
I do have an interesting thing I want to throw out here, though, because I think this is something that's very telling in how society has developed ways to deal with the stuff that we're talking about. Imagine a society that subjects people to conditions that make them terribly unhappy, then gives them the drugs to take away their unhappiness. Science fiction. It's already happening to some extent in our own society. Instead of removing the conditions that make people depressed, modern society gives them antidepressant drugs. And in effect, antidepressants are a means of modifying an individual's internal state in such a way as to enable him to tolerate social conditions that he would otherwise find intolerable. Theodore Kaczynski.
Wow.
Wow.
Unabomber?
Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
his
wow.
manifesto has a lot of.
Yeah, I don't know if it's from the
accurate
manifesto or
points.
not.
So here's the flaw, though, is
he's
that-
critiquing that.
Yeah.
is that some depression is organic.
Yes,
Mhm.
I mean, people genuinely have
biochemical.
exactly
Yes.
biochemical things where they are,
Mhm.
the clinical depression,
Mhm.
and originally the medication was meant to help that.
Yes,
I'm going to disagree. If I'm understanding your statement correct, you're saying that by default, human beings are naturally depressed.
no.
No.
Some
I'm just
can't.
saying some folks genuinely do have an actual biological illness.
Okay, that's correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
and their own personal
That-
biology does not produce either the enzymes, the chemicals, whatever
Whatever thing is
that helps
going
them
on,
moderate.
they have the lack of the things that make the synapses
Yeah.
talk to
Okay.
each other
Yeah,
correctly.
Then I agree.
And the drugs were originally intended to address that.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I
but they
think
have become
and they
morphine for
but yeah.
mood.
Yeah, I mean they've gotten almost to the point where they're putting them in the water and spraying them from planes.
But you see, the
Yes.
thing is, we've gone beyond that.
yeah,
What we're doing to treat the moods and the everything else are TikTok, Instagram.
Yes, we've gone
Andro-
from the biochemical
I-
to the technical.
Yeah, AI.
mass media is the opiate of the
AI
people.
girlfriends,
Yeah.
AI boyfriends. The
sex robot.
the proliferation of sex toys in general. You name it. We're getting into all this escapism to escape from the fact of what is going on in our lives.
All of those are they're external means to do what the antidepressant drugs
Exactly.
do, and that escapism. I think that's a great point. Escapism.
But there's nothing wrong with a little escape.
No,
No,
there's
no.
not,
But
because
it's-
if there weren't, our books would never sell.
Yeah,
Escapism is a result of commercialism, which
No,
but it's
oh
rampant.
yes,
no, because people have used things to escape the drudgery of their regular lives way before things got commercialized.
Oh yeah,
yeah, but in our current society, commercialism
Commercialism has just capitalized on
Yes.
that. It existed before the commercialization.
and it's
It's just been
optimized.
perfected.
Yeah, it's been
It's like the idea
taken to
of
another
a
level, certainly.
casino.
yes.
Casinos, no windows, no clocks. All of those bells and whistles you
Pumping
hear
in.
from the slot
Yeah.
machines, the noises, it's all programmed to keep your attention and to keep you there and making money for them.
And make sure you don't get tired.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
the same thing's happening, at every level. I mean, we go around, people are going around, and these damn phones are open in their face 24/7.
Right. There's a new term, doom scrolling.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Where you
Mhm.
where you start and you simply cannot
Yes.
stop.
Yes.
And there's another term that goes with it, because when you think of the people doing this, you automatically think of the doom scrolling.
Yeah.
And that's bed rotting.
But it's designed
I haven't heard
to
bed
do
rotting
that.
before.
That's
It's programmed to do that to you.
So one of the things that I'm glad whoever it was, brought up the escape. It was you that brought up the escapism, Imperator. Escapism is a two-edged sword,
Mm-hmm.
because there's escapism that helps you just think about, oh man, my life would be so much better if I won the lottery and I could do all these things. That's a form of escapism.
Yeah,
for instance.
yeah. It's kind of harmless.
And
Yeah,
the
it's a little bit it's a little
well,
bit harmless.
The
and
casinos prey upon it because that's entirely their
Well,
premise.
yeah,
is
Yeah.
if I will eventually sit here
Or a
long enough,
lottery.
same thing.
But that part's not my point.
Yeah,
it
I
could be
know.
anything. That's just an example, because you mentioned the casinos and money,
Yes.
whatever. But the point is, people think of scenarios in which their life might be better.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. However, for some people, that escapism turns negative,
Mm-hmm.
because the escapism sometimes becomes, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Mm-hmm.
Or an everyday situation, because you get
Oh.
stuck in your head,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
becomes, oh, my wife is going to respond to this in a way that I don't like. And then you go down this entire rabbit hole in your head of how things
Yeah.
get screwed up,
But you see, the algorithms
and your
enforce
negative,
that.
resentful responses to them. It has nothing to do with this part has nothing to do with technology.
See,
So-
that's the good thing about not understanding people, because I don't jump that far.
But I don't think you have to understand people to jump that far. I think those that experience this, again, a lot of these
Mhm.
things are tied together, whether it be
Yeah.
escaping down that negative rabbit hole of things are going to go bad because X, Y, and Z, as opposed to things are, wouldn't it be great if X, Y, and Z happened?
Yeah.
The depression, the imposter, all of these things can be a circle. They don't necessarily have to be, but in a lot of people, they are related. And one of the things that one of the quotes I came across that I found was very interesting, because we need to wrap this up, and I want to
Yeah.
kind of want to leave with
Yeah.
this. It's kind of a prescription for how to deal with some of this stuff. I don't think it's 100% accurate or correct in the sense that it covers everything. But this is also from Albert Camus. So this, which I found interesting because of the quote. It's from his notebooks from 1951 and 1959.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Find meaning, which is almost absurd and on its face for him to say that. But that's part of his third response. You got to find your own meaning.
Yeah.
Distinguish melancholy from sadness. Go out for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to be a romantic walk in the park. Spring in its most spectacular moment. Flowers and smells and outstanding poetical imagery, smoothly transferring you into another world. It doesn't have to be a walk during which you have multiple epiphanies and discover meanings no other brain ever managed to encounter. I'm going to stop right there for a second. That is part of what I was just talking about. Sometimes our brain goes down those rabbit holes and we get off onto, this is meaningless crap, because we think we have to have those big moments of epiphanies, and we don't always. Do not be afraid of spending quality time by yourself. That is an issue,
Yes.
because often quality time by ourselves is not quality.
Mm-hmm.
It's where we get into these negative
I mean,
traps.
so
Yeah.
many
Doom
people
scrolling.
view
And
being by themselves is a horrible thing.
Yeah.
They have to be out with others.
But sometimes, though, that is the thing. You have to get
You
out
have to-
with
yeah.
others to be able to escape the consequences of that time by yourself.
Yeah.
You have to balance these. That's why I think he's not entirely accurate. It's a bit of both and,
Yeah.
as Francis loves to remind us. It's both and. Don't be afraid by spending quality time with yourself. Find meaning or don't find meaning, but steal some time and give it freely and exclusively to your own self.
Mm-hmm.
Opt for privacy and solitude. That
Yep.
doesn't make you antisocial or cause you to reject the rest of the world, but you need to breathe and you need to be.
Superman needed the
Yep.
Fortress of Solitude.
Oh my God!
Oh
Oh,
my lord!
Yeah.
Yeah,
that, that gets a
oop, wrong one. Yeah, that gets a.
That gets
raise a
I'll
glass.
toast
Yeah.
that, but it's
I'll
also.
take the ice shake.
Well,
I'll
yeah,
take
I
that.
love that image because you're
Yeah.
exactly right. Because Superman being essentially an alien with no one to relate to, he had to be able to escape from the adulation and the
That
skepticism.
everyone
Mhm.
needed a piece of him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He needed to save a piece for himself.
That's right. It's the ultimate monument to self care, which is
Yeah.
something that we, the clergy, are
Mhm.
preached constantly because we
Well,
have
Because we are
we-
also
I
so
mean-
bad at it.
and we failed to do.
Well, that's
Yeah.
right, because we are essentially we can have that Superman complex of we're here to try and save everybody,
Well,
and even he couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I want to offer a suggestion to correct your language. You said steal some time for
No,
yourself.
that's his language.
That's
That's
his language.
that's Camus.
I would say reserve instead of steal because we have to, like you said, self care. We have to make sure that we're
Right, that-
prioritizing ourselves.
Physician heal thyself. Yeah.
That's the language of today, where we would say
Put-
reserve.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
put
this
down the
is 70
damn
years ago.
phone, log off the damn computer, spend some time in nature, spend some time with your loved ones,
Well, and I think-
enjoy life.
And I think that's what he's saying is basically what we would say today.
Yeah.
Get out of your own frickin' head.
Yep.
I'm gonna give us when I'm doing pre-marriage counseling with couples. I offer them this reflection. I ask them if they love their cell phone more than they love their fiance, and of course, I always get the answer back that of course I love my fiance more. And I then I pose the question to them: how many minutes a day does the average American spend on their cell phone?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is 180 minutes a day.
Yep.
The average married couple in America spends how many minutes a day in direct face-to-face conversation? Does anybody in the Brotherhood want to give a guess?
3.
Much less than that.
It is 5 minutes a day. So what I usually prescribe. for
Sometimes
people-
that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
So
Not that I don't love my wife. I'm
It's
saying that might be a lot for her.
really a lot.
what I prescribe to people is
Really?
20 minutes a day of uninterrupted discussion with their spouse or
Mhm.
and or fiance. No, not and or, but of direct communication.
Yeah, important
So
distinction.
yeah, you're right, Imperator. Put the phone down,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and that will go a long way to increasing your mental health.
But
And,
even in solitude, the tech is okay
Can be, but
if
it can
you're
be
using it to
disastrous.
really be solitary.
Yes.
If you're using it to get others' opinions of yourself,
Yes.
you're headed down.
But you see,
Technology
direction.
used as validation
Yes.
is almost always wrong.
and,
use it to
I think
learn.
I think it contributes to
Self-flagellation.
suicide.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
one of the reasons
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that
I can see that Imperator.
that it, again, it left us with a lot of hangups not
Mhm.
having the technology, and it's because we had to deal with stuff internally. And
Yeah.
again, that's where I'm coming at from this. A lot of this stuff
Oh, yeah.
we deal with secretly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even though we know we're all here for each. This is again that quote unquote safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Probably most of us, though, or at least a lot of us, not just necessarily in this
Mhm.
room, but we keep stuff inside because again, that's just the default. And
Mhm.
I don't know that it's. I don't. I think it's actually less healthy to actually do what you're talking about, Imperative, to be on the phone all the time. To
Yeah.
use that technology for that external
agree.
validation.
Mhm.
I think that's far worse than
Technological pacifier.
I do.
because
Amen.
it is just it's insidious in many ways.
Yeah.
But
And ironically, a
We
lot of us
still-
are in tech.
it's still doing something that is important.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
that is it's attempting to get you out of your own head, as I said before,
Mm-hmm.
to get you to reconnect. And again, that's where I go back to why the brotherhood is so important for us. And I've talked about this for clergy before, about we need to get together with other clergy because it's the only place where we can let our hair down
Mm-hmm.
and be ourselves. Because as clergy, we have to have a certain public face.
You're kind of always on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why we use the nom de pods.
Mm-hmm.
Why we don't
Oh,
use
yeah.
our real names is that we can't. Now, for those of us that we've told you, hey, I got this great podcast you should
Yeah.
listen to. Sometimes that
I mean, we're
there's a
not
little bit of
ashamed.
conflict there because they see us a certain way and we are not necessarily that way on the podcast.
Not like
Francis,
the
I know,
movies.
has experienced
Yeah,
this.
not like the movies.
Yeah, not like the movies. Longtime listeners already know what that means.
Yes.
And for those of you listening on the podcast, the lack of technology does not apply to you while you're listening to this.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is a great way to self-care.
It is because this
Listen to
does.
us.
Yeah, that sounds silly, but you're exactly right.
Listen
That's
to
exactly
us.
what this is.
We'll take care of you.
Well, it is because it does. It is not focused on making you feel better.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem with modern social media is it's either made to make you feel better in the sense that, oh, look at me, or
Thank you, Lord, that I'm not like other men.
yes, yes,
That's good. That's
But-
Luke.
there's a lot of that to it too.
But seriously, I mean, we hope you laughed at this.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we also hope that maybe you thought.
We
Exactly.
share our
Yeah.
brokenness so that you can be fulfilled.
Yeah.
It's like Camus said about the
go learn
friendship.
something.
And to let our groupies know that we are indeed human.
That too.
You
That
know.
too.
I
We
mean,
have groupies.
Oh, yeah.
groupies is
Yeah, we do.
maybe an exaggeration.
I
But
don't know. We got him.
Well, yeah, that's why
That's true.
I mean,
That's
we
why
let
I'm
it-
here.
we let a groupie join.
That's right.
It's
That's
kind of
right.
like that guy that
Uh-huh.
got to join Journey after the lead singer quit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in a way, yeah. But again, I just want to close with this whole thing that we a lot of us deal with these things. This
Mhm.
whether it be you want to call it depression, imposter syndrome, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, the best that I have found remedy is this. Not necessarily recording snakes and otters.
Okay.
But,
that
yeah.
certainly helps.
Friendship?
It's the
Love?
friendship. It's the I go back to what I said, and I really should have used this earlier in the episode, but it truly is getting out of your own head, because the vast majority, I think, of the depression and imposter syndrome is just that. It's you get stuck inside your own head, and you feel guilty for either not doing what you should do, or you feel guilty for people praising you because you think you're not what they think you are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And at least personally, that's a lot of my issues come out of those things.
Okay.
And that's not the public face that I put out for the most part.
Can I give you one last little personal
Absolutely.
story? Because we're talking about being open and,
Is this
and
about him
personal.
grabbing your butt?
No, but we can always talk about that.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right. That's
You
right.
know,
We
it-
can always talk about that.
Because
It's not that I grabbed his butt. It says his butt cheeks fit in the
Cup.
palm of my hand.
Yeah.
and it
yeah.
still does 40
They
years
still do.
later.
Yeah, well.
That's a testament to you.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's not like my hands have gotten bigger.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Your
yeah.
butt has stayed the same size.
Well, but he keeps that belt so tight that he's got that muffin top now.
Well, I certainly have a muffin top.
Oh,
Yeah. So when we started discussing this whole writing idea, and Francis was getting it underway,
Mhm.
I mean, my thoughts were, oh, I could never do that. But you guys encouraged,
Mm-hmm.
and it was never, I have never felt it as a competitive thing. Oh, I've
No.
got to do, they're doing it, so I got to do it.
No,
Mm-mm.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
always been very encouraging.
Mhm.
And once I had actually started, I never thought I could write 5,000, let alone 65,000. And again, it might all be garbage. Who knows? Who cares?
Hmm.
I'm having fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And now, even though I'm kind of stalled right this minute, I don't doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know I can finish it.
Yeah, you've learned so much on the journey.
Yeah,
Yeah, you've got the tools.
I can finish it. Again, it might be horrible by the time I finish it.
Yeah,
but I
that's
do
what
bel-
editing is for, dude.
I do
It's never
believe
going to
I
stay
can
that way.
finish it, and that's
Mhm.
all due to you guys.
Well, when you
Well-
do finish, in a
Mhm.
year from now, we will be having the same conversation about the editing process with you.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I gotta say, kudos to you. Not for saying that, but knowing you for as long as I have,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you going from I could never do that
Mm-hmm.
to knowing that you can finish,
yeah.
dude, that's massive.
That's
I don't.
gold.
I don't know when it'll happen, but I just don't doubt anymore.
Yeah,
That is such a sea change in
Yeah.
how you have looked at certain things in the past. I'm not saying your entire life has been I can't do that.
No.
But there have been things I know where that's been your mindset.
Yeah, I've been a person who's been keenly aware of his limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sure. And that's also sometimes that's
I
the
mean,
starting
but-
point of
yeah.
severe depression.
Yeah.
You think
It's there's a value to being self-aware, but there's
Mm-hmm.
also value in pushing beyond what you thought were your boundaries.
I never want to hear
Absolutely.
you say you mentioned the word. I don't know if it's all garbage or not. I never want to hear those words come out
Thank
of your
you.
mouth
I've been
again.
wanting
Yeah.
to say that to him as well. Don't say
because,
that.
because
Yeah.
it
Well,
came from you.
it's
It
not.
is it is a wonderful
Yeah.
creation that you have made
Yeah.
that have contributed
It's-
to the
Well, let's just say
humanity.
it might not appeal to
Well,
commercial buyers.
No,
but
again,
It's
and
irrelevant.
it's just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
where you are on the curve.
But it's your art.
When you reach the editing stage, you'll realize everything is possible. You just got to edit
Yeah.
to get there.
And
That's
again,
all it is.
The
Yeah.
the main thing that I have discovered is it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes, it
hello,
is.
It's
I've had
magnificent.
fun
Yeah.
doing it. I don't have to answer help desk calls. I don't have to give a shit about what somebody's OneDrive is doing
Well,
or any of that
You
stuff.
have the full
It's
creative
just-
control, and
it's
that
just
is
me and my brain,
is
and I'm
great.
just
Yours.
doing it, and I'm enjoying it, and it's fun, and I wouldn't have believed it without you all, and so there's just no more doubt.
the author
I
must
can-
be satisfied first.
I can
We-
do it. I
we-
can do it. It's just a
Creative-
matter of time.
Creative endeavors
Mm-hmm.
are the best way to get out of your head.
Yeah.
I have found. Now that is not true for everybody. I get that, but I think for this crowd, I think that can certainly be true.
And I think one of the things you have to understand is that we love you, and therefore we're going to love your art
Absolutely.
because it is
Thank you, sir.
We may think it could be improved in a million ways,
Yeah.
Hey,
But
hey,
it's
that's
still
the-
you.
that's part of
but
the
it's-
process.
but that's
Yeah.
part of the
But it's
process.
still
Yeah,
you.
and that's another fun part is there will be me. I mean, by the time you all read it, you'll go, yeah, only Martin would have written
Mhm.
that.
Sure, sure.
That's
Yeah.
that is a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
So say it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, all right, guys. Thank you
Mhm.
for contributions today. I think this has been one of my
fun.
favorite episodes.
Throw out that Kaczynski. I reject that one wholly. But I like the other
Well,
ones.
I
did
think
like
that
the
was more an
surprise we got.
observation, not a recommendation.
but-
I
Yeah.
like
You
the
know
fact
that-
that we all went, whoa.
The thing about Kaczynski though is just again, he's attributing this drive to medication as something wrong. I mean, yeah, it can go out of
Mhm.
control, but originally
I think
it
that's what
really
he's.
did help.
Yeah.
I see. To me, that's what I take. He's
It's
commenting on the out of
The
control
out of control part.
Yeah, but certainly I can see
Mhm.
where you can
Yeah.
interpret it that way.
He went into the mountains for a reason. to get
Yeah.
away from all
Yeah,
that.
because they were going to arrest him if he didn't.
Yeah.
Well, no. it's
Well, I
just-
mean, he was already there. I mean,
he
I think
was
that's where he
already
sent
there.
a lot of his
Yeah.
bombs from. But, anyways, the reason I used him was because specifically, you
Yeah.
know, it's like, holy crap!
Oh no, his manifesto's fun. You guys got to
So-
read that.
I don't have time for that.
That sounds exasperating.
Oh no, it's
It sounds
actually,
exhausting.
There's actually a lot of good stuff in it. I mean, he was a lunatic and
Well-
a murderer.
Yeah,
but-
well,
As
know.
Chesterton likes to point out, the reformers often are right about what's wrong,
Yes,
but they are
They're
rarely
wrong
right
about-
about what's
exactly.
yeah, they're
His sol-
usually
his-
wrong
wrong
about
about
how
what's
to
right.
make it right.
His
yeah.
solution to sending mail bombs was
Yeah,
way
yeah.
off. Way
So,
off
anyways,
course.
gentlemen,
Hold
thank
that
you.
thought.
yeah, hold that thought. Once again, hold that thought.
Yeah, no
Uh,
mail bombs, folks. Especially if
thank
we
you.
pissed everybody off.
Thank you, guys. Wonderful episode. I think this is a great discussion. Francis, what's next?
We're going to do something that Martin's been asking us to do for like 2-3 years now.
Again? Oh, sorry.
No,
Yes.
this is a Martin. I think this has actually got some really good legs. We're going to do a history episode about. It's the first in a series,
Mhm.
an intermittent series, I think, on history's greatest douchebags.
Oh, yes.
So he's already got 2 of them picked out, and each one of us will all be thinking about some of these. So this
Oh.
is an amazing opportunity for us to
Mhm.
learn something about some folks, because he's told us who it is. I won't spoil it,
Yeah.
but they're folks that we don't know well, but should, because these folks
Exactly.
are serious douchebags.
we should
Yeah.
learn to do better because
Mhm.
of them.
Yes, that's absolutely. So, hey, humanity, we love train wrecks. We
Mhm.
love watching human misery. There's plenty of that to go around. You'll see it next episode, so tune in.
We
Great.
hope you enjoyed another pointless discussion of eternal questions. Remember, new episodes drop every second and fourth Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern, just in time for your morning commute. And every fifth Friday, we drop a special Hoopajube episode. Spread the word we are on all the major platforms, and leave us a review. That helps others find us. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, as well as our website, snakesandotters.com. Join us next time, same snake time, same otter channel.